Hi there guys, it's Pip here, and today I wanted to talk to you about confident mistakes. Now, I've made some notes on mistakes which I just want to share with you. So the first thing is, when we think about mistakes, we often think about the word wrong, or even worse, the word bad, or maybe even incompetent. And I just want to shed a bit of light on that today. I just want to dispel a few myths about mistakes, and try and encourage them really as more seen as learning curves. So first of all, I don't know about you, but how many of you have ever made a mistake and someone tells you off for it, or even worse, they then go and tell somebody else, and you might make one small mistake, but you get told off for it multiple times. I don't know how many of you can ever resonate with that. Now, of course, the thing is, mistakes are part of everyday life. We all make them, of all ages. Doesn't matter who you are, where you were brought up, how much you already know and how much you don't. It will be part of your life. And I was thinking today about motivational speaker Les Brown, who I try and listen to something of his every day, and he shares a mistake that he made in pretty much every one of his podcasts. He was talking about the time that he brought his mother home. Now, if you don't know anything about Les Brown, I'm just going to give you a bit of an overview. So he was basically born on the floor, twin brother and himself. He lives in Liberty City in America. When he was 6 weeks old, he was adopted by this wonderful woman called Mamie Brown, and she was a manual worker, kind of lived on her own, and I think she adopted about 8 children. Didn't have a partner, from what I understand, and she brought them all up just on her wages. They weren't very rich, it was quite a poor lifestyle, but she did her best, and because of that he was really appreciative of what she did. And when he later became a motivational speaker, he wanted to raise funds to buy her a home. Now at this point, his mother, Mamie Brown, she was in her 70s, and he bought her a property, really exciting, first major goal, and he got what was called a lien against this property. Now, I don't know much about the housing market, don't know much about what a lien is, but what I do understand is that meant he had to somehow get hold of $55,000 before he could, purchase property for good. Now, this is all fine and good, but actually he'd moved his mother in already at that point, and he was basically walking the floors in the middle of the night, couldn't sleep, didn't know how he was going to raise this amount of money, and at the same time didn't want to tell his mum that actually she had to give up the house of her dreams, and that they had to move back to the place where they were before. Now, what happened in that particular instance is that he needed to do something called a title search. Now, he didn't do this, and the reason was because the person who was selling him the home told him that he could have it for a reduced price, and that he was adopted as well, and he identified with Les, and Les took him on his word. Now, I think the question probably most of you are asking about this person, you're probably going, well, doesn't sound too bright, why didn't he just do the title search in the first place? But my question to you is, how many of you can ever identify with that? How many of you have ever taken somebody on their word, and maybe they're not giving you the full picture, or maybe they just outright lied, and then you feel stupid when it doesn't work out? How many of you can resonate with that? Now, the reason I was thinking about that is because, if I can find where I am in my thoughts, when we make mistakes as adults, we're meant to know what we're doing. And I don't know about you, but I know that as an adult, not many people actually have their life 100% mapped out. Things don't change just because we turn from children into adults. Now, I also don't think mistakes are about laying blame either. I don't think it helps to say, oh, if you hadn't have tried this, this wouldn't have happened, or, the thing is, if someone hadn't have tried anyway, nothing would have happened, and you could have ended up with even worse result. So it's not always their fault. And a lot of people say, it's no point crying over spilled milk. Now that is 100% true. No matter what mistakes you've made, maybe what mistakes you've suffered in the past, nobody's yet invented a time machine to go out and just sort them. So we have to learn them, and we just have to take them to a learning curve and let them go. This is the present, that was in the past, just let it go. Easier said than done, definitely. We've all had mistakes that made us feel certain ways, maybe caused issues in our relationship, caused things to be difficult long term. But if you stopped every time you made a mistake, you'd never even learn to walk. The number of times a baby falls down whilst it's learning to walk, you don't say, oh, just stop. You're obviously not going to get there. A baby will learn to walk when it walks, and it doesn't let mistakes hold it back. I mean, imagine, for example, say you were writing a shopping list and you made a spelling or grammatical mistake. Are you going to sit there and say, God, I'm just no good at this? I really should stop writing. In fact, do you know what? From now on, I'm never going to write anything again. Ever again, because I might make a mistake. Now, say for example, you make a mistake and you go, so what? And you go out and get the wrong thing from the shops anyway. You come back and your partner's a bit annoyed because it wasn't quite what you wanted. Next time, are you going to learn from it, or are you going to not go to the shops and starve? How much power are you going to allow that mistake to have? How much power does it really have, and are you the one giving it the power? And I think that's something that we have to get into perspective as well. So I actually got my good old dictionary, it's just right here, the Collins Pocket Dictionary, and I actually wanted to read to you the definition of mistake, because as I say, I think we so often align it with things like bad, wrong, incompetent. And I just wanted to see what the actual definition was, so here we go. So it says, mistake, an error or blunder, to misunderstand, to confuse a person or thing with another. Now, children, as you know, make mistakes all the time. And I just want to kind of have a look at the way that children make mistakes and what they do. Now, if a child makes a mistake, I just want you to think about your reaction to that. Say you see a child struggling to, maybe it's got some building blocks and it wants to put them together and it can't quite figure out how to do it. Do you laugh at them, or do you try and help? If they're upset, maybe they're frustrated, maybe they've fallen over, got a few bruises, do you ignore them and think, well, that was a pretty dumb thing to do, it's not something I would have done? Or do you comfort them? Do you, will they do it several times? Probably. Sometimes we need to make mistakes several times in order for them to learn. But it depends how you take it. Say a child, for example, is struggling with a maths question. Now, are they stupid, or are they learning? See what I mean? Now, I don't think any of that changes just because we become adults. I don't think the definition of a mistake changes just because we hit puberty. No, not at all. I think maybe mistakes as adults are seen as probably less acceptable. Depends what kind of mistakes we make. Because we're meant to know what we're doing at that age. And I don't know really how true that is meant to be, but let me tell you something true. In reality, as I say, people do not have their lives mapped out, and people who are adults do make mistakes all the time, especially if you're starting something new. Whether it's a new hobby, you're in a new relationship, you're trying to figure out what makes that person tick and what doesn't. you know that definition doesn't change just because we become adults. And I don't know about you, but certainly no one ever said to me as a child, you know, pick, just to let you know, you must learn absolutely everything you need to know by the time you're 18. And once you stop it and you become 18, you must absolutely never, ever try to learn anything ever again. In fact, you must never even try to do anything differently, just in case you make a mistake. Now, if someone said that to you today, I don't know about you, but I sure wouldn't listen to them. Now, you might feel like you make more mistakes than the average person, but again, just to put that in perspective, have you ever considered that it might be that other people are not sharing their mistakes with you because, just like you're a human, they don't want to feel stupid either. Feeling stupid is just kind of the body's way of letting us know that maybe that wasn't the best idea. It's kind of, I think it's on a kind of parallel with the physical sensation of pain, really. It's kind of an emotional pain, if you like, that kind of says that maybe wasn't the best thing. It's not always very productive. Often we don't actually need to feel stupid in order to know that the consequences weren't what we desired. But it's just the body's way, and it's like pain, it's very temporary. You know, if you fall over and break your knee, it will heal, and you know, feeling stupid doesn't last either, so certainly don't let that hold you back. So today, what I'd actually like you to do is look at making mistakes as a learning curve rather than something seen as wrong. And something I want you to practice is making it okay with yourself to make mistakes. Allow yourself to try new things and expect that something might not go 100%. You know, sometimes just because things don't go 100% doesn't mean that they've actually gone wrong. It just means that there's you know, room for improvement. And I wouldn't listen to the naysayers. I think sometimes naysayers, they just haven't explored, factually know what's right and wrong. It's kind of like somebody reading a book about war as opposed to an actual soldier. One has all the theory, one has all the experience. I certainly know which one I'd rather have if I was fighting for my survival. So don't listen to them. The more mistakes you make, the more you will learn. And again, don't let your emotions put you off. They're just trying to lead you down the right path, and they're not going to last forever. So we benefit so much anyway from mistakes that the people make. People actually sharing mistakes is actually a good thing because it helps us all to learn, not just the person who's made them. For example, say you're out in the garden and you have some poisonous berries. Now you know not to eat those berries, but somebody had to be the first one to find out, unfortunately. Now I'm sure the first person to find out, had they known they were poisonous, they wouldn't have eaten them. And thankfully, most of the mistakes you make are not going to be that bad. And we shouldn't link them too much to self-confidence. Again, just because you make a mistake does not make you a bad person. It means that actually you have the strength to put yourself out there and be a little bit vulnerable, and to be willing to take the risk of trying new things, be willing to take the risk of getting ahead, and to be strong enough to face the emotion of failure sometimes, and again a feeling of just feeling a little bit down. Because you're a human and you will make mistakes. Nobody is born with knowing anything apart from really how to cry for food. So everything that you learn, you will make mistakes. Justin Wolfe, in one of the calls that I was on, spoke about imperfect action. And even people like Winston Churchill actually says success is going from failure to failure without losing enthusiasm. Now, when he says that, I know for certain that he's made a lot of mistakes. So if he did it, and let me tell you, not many people on the planet get to be Prime Minister. Not many people are willing to put themselves out there. So if he's been through it, then that's good enough for me. So as I say, the next time you make a mistake, hold your head up. If you can take it, then I'm sure everybody else can. If they're appreciative, just remember they've made mistakes too. They're probably just not sharing them with you. Do remember that you're good and that you're not perfect. There is actually no such thing in humans. We all strive for this kind of perfection, but we actually don't have the time or the energy. There's not literally enough hours in the day to be good at absolutely everything. So just remember that. Again, I'm thinking about Les Brown going back to when he lost the house, and he they were moving the furniture back, and he was actually unloading the furniture off the van, and Les Brown says he remembers that he was crying, and his mother came around the side of the van and she said, "Hold your head up, hold your head up." And I said, "You know, look what I've done." And she said, "You're going to make a lot of mistakes in life, young man. You're going to make a lot of mistakes." And he always said that he learned that day that whenever you make a mistake, whenever you've done something wrong and you're just so humiliated, hold your head up, and you can push on past that. So the more mistakes you make, the more you'll actually learn. And I want you guys just to throw away the fear of making mistakes. Literally, just whenever you feel fear arising in you, I just want you to hold it and throw it away. Just throw it away. And worry and inadequacy as well, this idea of inadequacy. Let me tell you, it is a waste of life. It will not help you get to where you want to go. It is not your ally. If you say you wanted to achieve something major, you wouldn't go into a bar and find the most negative person there and allow them to start talking about it. You wouldn't do that. So don't let yourself do that as well. It's certainly something that I'm going to start practicing. I actually stopped listening to my brother, who talks a lot about me making mistakes. I stopped listening to him quite a long time ago. He still points out my mistakes, but I don't let it affect me. I just kind of let it wash over, let him have his say. Sometimes it makes me a bit frustrated, and I appreciate that. I don't mean to really, frustrate the people around me. But once he's had his rant, he's fine, and so am I, and that's the way it's meant to be, and we move on. So just do what the Bishop T.D. Jakes talks about, and that is falling forwards. T.D. Jakes is again another motivational speaker, and he kind of says that, you know what, even if you're tripping and stumbling, as long as you're falling forwards, it's still forwards, and that's the right direction. So that's just the insight I wanted to bring to you today. As I say, don't forget to just throw away that worry. You don't need it. It certainly doesn't need you, so let it go. Get into the practice of recognising that kind of feeling of worry. I know for me it brings certainly a lot of anxiety, inner turmoil, and then I kind of have to pretend on the outside that I'm not experiencing that, and then I'm 100% confident all the time. It's not always the way. In fact, it's infrequently the way. And I think if I stop pretending to the people around me, maybe we'd all just be a bit more truthful with each other, and that's important. So I'm going to leave you with that thought, and I'm going to go off and play a bit more. So take care, and until next time, bye bye.